We dream in colors unseen. Hope blooms where shadows lead.
Over the capitulos, keepers added a series of exercises for acolytes to the repertoire devised by Amador. Most were designed to lead the young men to a gentle understanding of their social system, obligations, rewards, and provide guidance to help them navigate the normal obstacles of youth. Meredith Zakarian, History of Estolia.
Lyre lay awake in Zeke's guest room, staring at the ceiling. The one thing that influenced her acceptance of the invitation to visit Estolia was Maximilian. She whispered his name out loud several times, hearing the syllables with pleasure. He was very good-looking with soulful eyes. He was a beautiful work of art. Did he really think she was beautiful? Was she in an alternate reality where ugly was beautiful, and men like Max might actually be attracted to women like her? Would Max ever want to marry her? Impossible. And yet, she smiled and lay back down, deciding to indulge the fantasy.
Harmony in silent night. Peace glows in faded light.
The next morning, she woke to the sound of movement in her room. After a momentary alarm, she realized it was Brittany, whom she had met the previous day.
"Good morning, chickadee,"
She said to Lyre. Then she giggled.
"But you are not named after a modest songbird, are you? You are named after the more exotic lyrebird."
How did you know? Most people think I'm named after the musical instrument.
Lyre said. Brittany tilted her head to the side and said,
"I thought from when I met you that you seemed more like the bird than the instrument."
After my mother gave birth,
Lyre said dryly.
the nurse held me out to my mother and she said to her, "Here's your beautiful redhead daughter. What will you name her?" Mother was so shocked I wasn't the dark-haired son she expected that she called the nurse a liar. The nurse had seen a production of the Lyrebird the previous day, so she misunderstood, believing my mother meant me to be Lyre. My parents never bothered to make any sort of correction, so I became Lyre.
She still had the video of the confrontation between the nurse and her mother. The nurse sent Lyre a birthday card each year. Brittany laughed at the story.
"The one thing we are never given a choice about in this life is who our parents are."
She shook her head before adding,
My father spurned his religion and opted to marry when he was 21 years old. Mother died when I was 5. He never looked at another woman for the rest of his life. He focused all of his attention on me to the exclusion of anything else. Then he decided I wanted to marry Zeke.
While she spoke, she pulled a chair up to the side of Lyre's bed.
So when Zeke fell in love with Kedarin, father kidnapped her and tried to force Zeke to marry me instead. I did not know anything about it until almost 3 weeks later. I was on my honeymoon. He refused to acknowledge Marcus as my husband until I told him he had 2 choices. He could accept my choice of husband, or he could say goodbye to me. He eventually came around. But it is pretty appalling when you know your father has done something so horrible.
Lyre didn't know why this woman was in her bedroom.
Why?
Why am I here?
Brittany finished her question.
I brought your clothing with me and some suitcases and a few other things.
She gestured to a set of luggage.
I packed everything for you, but wanted to help you select the outfit you would wear for the trip to Estolia.
She pointed to a beautiful gauzy pantsuit draped on the foot of the bed.
That should be comfortable to travel in.
Should she ask Brittany about the invitation to move to Estolia? She did not want to pry, but Brittany's confession about her father explained much of the conversation she overheard the prior day. As if reading her mind, Brittany said,
My husband and I have decided to move to Estolia Lyre, but it will take us a few months to wrap up our affairs here. Estolia is utterly different from San Francisco. You will like it.
She flushed slightly.
It was knowing that you knew I received the invitation that gave me the courage to accept it.
Hearts in union side by side.
Nico greeted Zeke outside the Carpathia building.
Are you sure you know what you are doing?
Nico asked him.
There is something deeply significant going on here. As such, it behooves us to facilitate the situation and enhance that which deity has proclaimed.
And of all of this, none of it is toward my own pressing need.
Never fear
Zeke said to him,
that your needs are ignored. Your leadership of Estolia is dependent on having a very strong woman to keep your soul. I am certain you will meet her here or in Canada.
Nico had a sudden flash of insight. Somehow, before he reached Canada, he would discover the keeper of his soul. He knew it as sure as he knew his own destiny. Zeke reminded him.
For now, we must focus on the needs of your sister.
Inside the Carpathia building, the elevator swiftly took them to the penthouse. When Nico saw the shining look of happiness on Ria's face, he was grateful that he had the courage to leave her with Zerer.
Uncle Zeke,
She said hesitantly.
I wanted to know if it was possible for the two of us to travel to Estolia.
Of course, Ria. In fact, I was hoping you would consent to come with us today in the corporate jet. We will be leaving in a few hours.
Who else is going?
She asked.
Nico has other obligations.
Zer said.
But Zeb, Maximilian, and Lyre will be traveling with us.
Who is Lyre?
Ria asked.
A woman Max met at the wedding where he was one of the groomsmen. She about knocked him off his feet with her aura.
Zeke said. He added teasingly.
She will compete with you for the title of most beautiful woman in the world.
I doubt it is possible
Zer said.
for any woman on this planet to be more beautiful than my Ria.
Zer was lost in the vision of the woman who had taken his soul. Zeke said with humor.
I do not think anyone is more beautiful than my Kaylee. But that will always be a point of debate through the ages.
He looked at Zer.
Will you be ready and able to leave in about an hour and a half?
He nodded.
I can easily travel, so long as I am able to connect to the wider world.
Once you have spent a week in seclusion with Ria, you will start a year of study that I will facilitate.
Zeke pulled a card out of his pocket and added.
Have your driver bring you to Smith Airfield at this address. We will try to leave no later than noon.
Zer glanced at his wristwatch and said.
We will see you in 90 minutes.
Nico embraced his sister.
I will see you soon, Ria.
He told her as he and Zeke departed.